Yo, pod! This is Meat Mitch, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to. Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about barbecue and grilling related items. The show coming to you live every Tuesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern.
Andrew.
Oh, okay.
We'll do it live.
That's the one. If you are just tuning into the show, you've missed the first hour, but you have a whole second hour coming up here between 10 and 11 Eastern. And then, as I just mentioned on the way out, we are recording audibly for podcasts, so you can listen to the show whenever is convenient for you. You don't have to be live, although there's a lot of folks who like to take in the show live through the various platforms, which I'll tell you about here in just 1 second. Still to come on the show later this evening, the Embedded Correspondents make an appearance. We'll be talking about some new live fire barbecue topics. Also, because it's everybody's favorite, we'll be running down a new, refreshed list of 100% Assurity Questions. The show is originating from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
And we say good evening to those of you watching through one of our video streaming platforms this evening, Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch the show via YouTube/RD Rempe, and there is an audible feed over at Clubhouse as well, where we continue the consistency of no audible streamers. I'm not sure what Clubhouse did, but this program that I use, which has gotten better as it got worse, but now it's back to being better again. You can't even schedule rooms like you used to be able to. Now you have to make a frickin' house. I don't even know what that means. And then if you try and go live in the house, it says there's hidden memberships, so you can't do it. They made it very hard. So now I have to use the start room in the very generic portion of this. I don't know if anybody even sees that. So I just keep it up there just in case anybody wants to listen to it live audibly because they can't watch it. Maybe they're driving. Maybe they have no interest in watching anybody. They just want to hear it, whatever. So it's up there if you want to do it. Now let's go ahead and update the YouTube poll question of the week, which, if you're just joining us, is this. Who would you rather hear me do a podcast with as a co-host? Sam the Cooking Guy, Jess Pryles, Malcolm Reed, or just keep them as guests? No additional podcast. 53% of you are saying no additional guests.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Or just keep them as guests. No additional podcast. But if you want to toss that out, because it's 53%, the overwhelming majority are saying that Sam the Cooking Guy is the one that I should be doing an additional podcast with. And Jess Pryles is sitting at 7%, and Malcolm Reed is at 13%. But the overwhelming majority is keeping everybody as guests and no additional podcast, which, again, I'm the one here that fully agrees with all of that. So that's how it will stay. But since I've been getting a number of emails about additional podcasts, we figured we'd talk about that here this evening as we open it up for the YouTube poll question of the week. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 278, taking you back to April 28th, 2015, featuring the pitmaster of Hot Wachula's competition team, Matt Barber. Not to be confused from somebody that also used to appear on the show and was also from Wachula, but his name was not Matt Barber. His name was only Dan from Wauchula. If you know Dan, you have to be a long time listener of the show to know Dan, who used to call in. He had a certain tone and cadence that he would call in with. And he was one of those guys that just likes to call in because he had a hidden agenda. He tried to push the limits of what I was going to let go on the show, ultimately trying to work his way into me hanging up with him and dropping the hammer, which I did, I think, on every single phone call. But Dan liked it like that. Let's say that. So this is not who will be showing up on the show this coming Friday. That's Matt Barber from Hot Wachulas. And he also happens to be the owner of the Hot Wachulas co-packaging business. So if you wanted to do a barbecue sauce or a rub, he's somebody that you could contact about starting business with him. And back in 2015, Matt Barber was on a competition cooking tear that few cooks have ever experienced between FBA and KCBS events. He had won 10 events inside of 5 months, which is an incredible feat. I don't know if you're really up on what's good and what's not as far as things winning in the world of competition barbecue, but especially back then, winning 10 events inside of 5 months was a huge feat. We talked about the run that he was on at the same time and what it was like to burn that hot for that long. Matt has been a guest on the show for years. We've spent a lot of time talking about competition barbecue. We've also spent a lot of time talking about the barbecue business. As I had mentioned, this is a guy that makes sauces and rubs for folks. So not only is he and was he a great competition cook, but he had business ties into this industry as well. So if you aren't familiar with Matt, this will be a great introduction for you coming up, and make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast feed in order to get it. Also, if you would like to hear a past guest or segment again that you think might be lost in the archives, email John, Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com and let him know what you would like to hear. Once again, that's Jon at thebbqcentralshow.com. And then there's this. We are on tonight because I wasn't going to make it home yesterday, Tuesday, which has been show night forever and ever, amen. But I knew with every fiber of my being we'd be fighting against it last night, and I said, well, considering what's going on this week and then what I have going on next week, which both happen to transpire in Texas and both happen to be logistically coming back on a Tuesday, and I didn't want to take the risk of having it blow up in my face because that's happened before. I asked everybody that was booked for Tuesdays, for those 2 Tuesdays tonight, next week, if they would bump back a day. Everybody was very accommodating, so that's great. But I was on my way back, and I told you, of course, that we had an incredible delay coming out of Dallas-Fort Worth yesterday. So I started boarding the plane when the wheels should have been touching down in Cleveland last night. I had a window seat all the way in the back of the plane because corporate travel lady doesn't like sales guys. Just jam us up whenever she can. And who comes to sit in the middle seat? Well, somebody who looked confrontational, at least, intoxicated, short and angry, clutching a go bag of some sort, had a bit of a military feel to it. And immediately I'm on my guard trying to figure out, is this guy so drunk that he might try and start something with somebody? The guy sitting on the aisle seat wasn't going to be an easy target, I can tell you that, if this guy was going to look to start some stuff. So I started chatting this guy up and trying to get a gauge of what kind of personality he had, what kind of danger we might be in. I was going to have to do a reverse naked choke and expire this guy from consciousness or not, just in case. I can do that. Now we got to talking. Lo and behold, this guy is on his way from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Warrensville Heights, Ohio, which is home of Thistledown Racetrack, one of the worst thoroughbred racing courses on the face of the earth. Trash Central. In the middle of Trash Central, Warrensville, Ohio. And this guy got caught up on the tarmac for 3 hours in Albuquerque, so he was angry then, and then he got caught up in this additional delay going from Dallas to Cleveland. He was drinking hard. Well, 2 hours into the flight, just as we're getting ready to start initial descent down, must have been hungry. What did he pull out of his bag? Something I've never heard of in my life. Anybody ever heard of potted meat? Potted meat!
Get that freak stuff out of here.
I asked this guy right off the bat, what's potted meat? Is that a Albuquerque delicacy? Because I've never heard of it. And he went into his bag and pulled out this. This is what potted meat is. Now, to me, that looks like a can of cat food. I said, is that cat food? He said, no, man, it's potted meat. Well, potted meat is made with chicken, pork added. And when you crack the lid on that, that's something that that's a bell you cannot unring. That top came off, and 6 rows ahead of us and the 3 rows behind us were getting gassed with that potted meat smell. But he was undeterred. He took out his saltines and started digging into that potted meat, shoveling them into his pie hole. Meanwhile, the smell is just burning the inside of my nose. Every 5th cracker, you want some potted meat? No. I'm never going to want potted meat. I can't even begin to imagine a scenario where I'm going to need potted meat. By the way, potted meat on the explanation says that it's made with ground chicken and pork and preserved in a way so that it remains fresh for a long time. You can spread it on crackers, which this guy did. Use it as a sandwich filling or add it to any recipe of your choice. Perfect for camping, hiking trips, and picnics. The 3-ounce can is a great way to enjoy things on the go or when you're away from home. Gross!
Get that freak stuff out of here.
Look, if you're a fan of potted meat, don't bring it on an airplane and open it. Not even if you only have 20 minutes to go. Nobody wants to smell it. And you know it's bad because everybody gave this look. You know that look. When something bad gets opened up, you don't even have to say anything. It's like the turn. Yeah, potted meat. If you're near a Walmart, pick up a can of potted meat, throw it in your glove compartment. It's good forever. It's made in a way to keep it fresh for a long time. Hey, Primo Grills is still sponsoring the show, even though I did talk about potted meat. It's got a game-changing oval design. It's got a ton of accessories. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. They have the best ceramics technology in the biz. They have multiple sizes of ovals that will change your life. It gives you true 2-zone cooking capabilities and over 60 different ways to configure the cooker. Now, they're only sold through dealers, so you have to find one near you. You can then see and touch and feel all the different size ovals and then buy the best one that fits your needs. And you're going to get educated because it's being sold through a dealer, so that's great. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com, and we'll be back with the Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes, a host of accessories to choose from to complete that pit barrel cooking experience, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or professional. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com, all one word, pitbarrelcooker.com, and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. It is the 4th Tuesday of the month in the second hour And that means it's time for the Embedded Correspondents, absolutely, and we welcome all of them in. If you're just joining us for the very first time this evening, to the right of me is the longest-running Embedded Correspondent, Doug Scheiding from Texas, and below me is the second longest-running correspondent, John Solberg from Michigan, and catty corner below to the right is the correspondent from the great city of Utah and the owner of Salt City Barbecue famed food trailer, Rusty Monson. So, gents, we have a number of things to get to here this evening. Before we get into the 100% Assurity picks, Doug, let me start with you as I'm just coming off of a plane rant that is one for the ages. Have you ever heard of potted meat before?
Never heard of it, never want it out based on your description.
John, have you ever heard of potted meat?
Of course. I thought everyone had heard of potted meat.
But you've heard of it in that name, potted meat?
Yes. I saw the Walmart brand that you put on the screen. I didn't know it was a Walmart brand, but Armour, Hormel, can pull off the top, Vienna sausage kind of can thing. Yeah, it's like, it's a thing.
And you eat it?
I'm not going that far.
Oh, okay.
Have I ever eat it? Yes, I would rather. I'd prefer to go with the duck liver testicle paste over the potted meat. But yes, I've eaten it,
no doubt. Rusty, are you familiar with potted meat, and have you had it?
Yeah, that's actually all we could eat at my grandmother's house when I was a kid, and so it was that spam.
That was all you could eat?
Stuff. Well, if we wanted to eat, like saying like, "Hey, can I eat something?" It's not dinner, and it's not lunch. You could have potted meat, and you have, like you said, Vienna sausages. We had Spam. We had all that stuff. And I used to wrap it in tortillas or on just straight white bread.
Huh.
And like kind of like what is that paste when it's a meat? What's it called?
Yeah, a spread? A sandwich spread?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I evidently led a very sheltered life because that guy produced this can. He kept saying potted meat, and I thought he was talking some kind of slang, and then he finally dug into his knapsack and pulled out that can. I was like, dude, is that cat food? And he's like, no, man, it's potted meat. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, you're not going to open that, are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm hungry. And sure enough, he dug into that, and it was like, psh, and I was like, uh-oh. And then 3 seconds later, it was on you like a cheap suit, and everybody was doing the look. I was like, wow. You are that guy. In middle seat, that guy. Not even window seat or aisle seat guy that's just pretentious and entitled. He was middle seat guy that did that and ruined the whole plane. So I both respect that and hate him all at the same time because then I had to smell that for the rest of the way down and getting out of the plane. But you guys know potted meat, and what can I say about that? So we have a new set of 100% Assurity questions. Let me take a quick check over here. Yeah, right. So we'll start with Doug here this evening. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. One of these three teams will win Memphis in May this year. Jack's Old South, Big Bob Gibson's, or Cool Smoke.
100% yes.
Oh, wow. By the way, I forgot to mention, if it looks a little bit different behind Doug, Doug is actually pulling a nice solid for the team here this evening. He is on location. Where are you at, Doug?
I'm in the illustrious city of Fort Scott, Kansas.
Wow.
South of Kansas City. So at E3 Meat Company doing a fundraiser event.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of the fundraiser to do our own bit of fun raising here on the Barbecue Central show. John, don't shake your head at me. That was funny. 100% yes or 100% no. One of these three teams will win Memphis in May this year. Jack's Old South, Big Bob Gibson's, or Cool Smoke.
100% yes.
Oh, all right. I have a follow-up question to this, depending on how Mr. Positivity answers. Rusty, yes or no?
100% no.
Mr. Negativity showed up here from Utah tonight.
Right.
By the way, I'm backing Rusty up. 100% no.
Get that free stuff out of here.
So if I might ask a quick follow-up, which we don't typically do here, Doug, are you saying yes because the old judging guard is going to try and correct the wrong that they think might have happened when Blues Hog won it last year?
Absolutely, I think that is the case. Now, I heard that Nixon is not going to be there, but I could be wrong on my intel. But
like the team's
yes,
not going, or that Myron's not going just specifically.
That Myron wasn't going to be there, but I think Chris Lilly's winning it.
All right. Oh, well, Doug's doubling down on an individual, which I certainly appreciate. John, similar mindset there. You think that there might have been a perceived wrong, and now people want to make it right with the old guard?
Doug and I are 100% aligned in every aspect, including the predicted winner.
Wow, wow. Well, I can obviously I have a mindset that's going to ask those follow-up questions. I don't know if for as bad, and they are the worst at Memphis in May is as far as answering email questions specific to the event that they are known for, which is Memphis fucking in May. But they won't answer any questions about it, I can tell you that. Direct questions, loophole questions, around the bush questions. Doesn't matter how you word them, they're not answering back. So I could never get any follow-up to all the questions that I was asking as we were leading into the deposit that everybody talked about and how many teams, how did you come up with the teams that you let in, all this stuff. Never got any answer about it. But I don't know if I'm broaching the thought that somehow the old guard has to win or not. I might say maybe Rusty and I are in lockstep tonight. Rusty, are you with me that I think that Blues Hog is going to double up this year? I
don't believe they will either.
You don't?
I don't believe they will. As much faith as I have in Brad and Tim, and I think they're the greatest cooks alive. Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I've been listening to Malcolm Reed's podcast, and I think he's put together quite a cool team, and they're doing whole hog. So I'm going to say that my dark horse is Malcolm Reed.
Really? Wow. I think that Blues Hog is going to double up. That's what I think. I think there's going to be some real folks with some real hurt feelings that Brad and Tim came down and smacked everybody around for the better part of 4 years and took away a couple world championship overalls. And then they're never going to show up there again. They're going to shit all over it. They're going to be like, everybody talks about how hard this, forget about it. We could stay and be the world champs of all world champs if we wanted to stay this long, but we've lost interest. We're going to go instead. So that's what my prediction is going to be. We move on. Well, I'm going to preclude myself from answering this question, and I should probably preclude Rusty from answering this question, but I'm going to have to ask anyway. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no, Blues Tog is going to repeat in Memphis in May next month.
Nope. As much as I wanted to happen.
John, repeat?
100% yes, because I'm learning to live in hypocrisy.
You just said Chris Lilly was going to. I love that. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. Team's Blues Hog will repeat as Memphis in May grand champ next month.
No, but I would. Are they not cooking shoulder this year to see if they can win all three? Or they're not going to?
I don't know. I mean, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. Those guys probably. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't really have any type of game plan dialed in. Like, they strike me as that kind of team. They are that good. Where maybe they're right now vacillating between, should we try and repeat and hog because it's the hardest, or should we try and do a completely different category because it was fifth overall when they went into shoulder that first year, then they won ribs the second year, and then they won it last year, obviously. So maybe they do want to circle back and try and get a shoulder championship on top of that. It would make sense to me.
Somewhere, that they were going to go do shoulder to try to win all three.
I would love to see that. Obviously, I am a yes that Memphis in May Blues Hog will repeat. But we knew that because I didn't do a good job looking ahead. Rusty, you believe me when I say that I could care less about being in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. 100% yes or 100% no?
I have never been more a no in my whole life.
Get that big stuff out of here.
John, 100% yes or 100% no. You believe me when I say that I could care less about being in the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
100% yes. I have 100% faith that you could care less.
Doug, yes or no?
My initial inclination is yes, but I'm going to say no because you want to get Guy Fieri out of there.
Well, as somebody who can speak on this subject expertly, I can tell you with 100% assurity that I couldn't care less. I couldn't. However, because I have an opportunity, because somebody nominated me, the competitor in me now wants to win. But do I care? No, of course I don't. It's the reason that I cared so much was what I listed 2 weeks ago. You can go back and listen to the top of the second hour at that point. But no, I couldn't care less if I get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame or not. Doug, did you have a follow-up on that?
No, I did nominate you, but you care because you want to get Guy Fieri out of there.
Well,
so
yes, of course.
Inherently, there is
maybe why everybody else cares too is because they want to see, much like Doc Holliday, how far my hypocrisy goes. Because it would be the most hypocritical thing on the face of the earth if by happenstance I get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame and then within my speech, the first thing that I say is, and as my first order of business, we're going to get this Guy Fieri out of the barbecue. If I don't say that, people are going to be like, what a dick.
Get that big stuff out of here.
That would be the ultimate in hypocrisy, which of course then I have to take into account because that's where I love to live. Oh my God, it's going to be such a thing. But we continue to move on. Hey, John, 100% yes or 100% no. Rusty Monson is the most impressive barbecue trailer vendor that you know.
Yes, absolutely, 100% yes.
Doug, yes or no?
I don't know. This is really a tough. No, I just kidding. Rusty, hell yeah.
I'm going to triple up with the boys here, and it's not even close. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. Rusty Monson is the most impressive barbecue trailer / vendor you know.
I have too many mentors to say yes, so I'm going to say no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
But are the mentors producing food for 400 people a day? Pulling down huge contracts, doing all this stuff? I mean, don't sell yourself short or be the humble guy when you don't have to.
Well, one of the people that I talk to often and get advice from now just bought his third different barbecue truck business.
Wow.
And runs them all. So yeah, and he kills it, and he's great and very, very helpful dude. And I think he would be the most impressive one I've ever seen.
Doug, just talking to Derek Riches about it here a couple minutes ago, but 100% yes or 100% no. Battery-powered grills will end up being more popular than electric grills in 2023.
100% yes,
Whoa.
and even 10 times more popular.
10 times more popular. Wow. John Solberg, 100% yes or 100% no. Battery-powered grills will end up being more popular than electric grills in 2023.
This is a great subject, but at the moment, I'm going to have to go no. We're not there yet.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Rusty, yes or no?
Hell no.
Hell
no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm going to double up Rusty and go, hell no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I still can't wrap my head around battery-powered grills. I get it. But when I say it, it's like I was telling Derek last segment. I say it out loud, and I almost want to hit myself for saying that. I can get over the fact I got to plug a lot of my grills in to an outlet, which I didn't think I was going to be able to get over, but I don't think I can mentally hurdle battery-powered grills at this point. I don't care if they're portable or not, but that just seems like a weird thing to me. Rusty, is it a weird thing to you?
It's just, you got to plug it in anyway, you know, because it's got a charge. It's not just a battery that lasts forever. So you're going to have to plug it in most of the time. What you do is unplug it to use it. And if you go somewhere else, it's cool. But I don't know. It's just you have to plug it in still. Like, why not just keep it plugged in? Like you said on your show, you said the last I don't remember what episode it was, but you're just like, dude, just keep it plugged in. Like don't mess with it. It's fine.
John, what's your mental hurdle? Or why do you think it's a good subject?
When Milwaukee figures this out and they will. If you're not familiar with Milwaukee and you don't work in, tool type trades, they're coming after Yeti. They've got coolers. They've got the greatest cordless power tools on the planet. I don't even want to be a fan, but you got to be. When Milwaukee figures it out, everybody in the Milwaukee Armory will own a battery operated Milwaukee portable grill. They'll have it on the job site cooking burgers. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Doug, what's your thought on why it is going to be big?
Oh, I'm sure Elon Musk, who knows everything, is going to invent his own damn grill. And he did develop the Tesla, which you cut the cord and you can go about your business for 200 miles. But I absolutely think, and in fact, I think we missed it with electric grills. But that's a different Assurity question.
100% no or 100% yes, and we go back to Rusty. The biggest gimmick in the pellet industry right now is 100% charcoal pellets.
By default, I'll have to say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to say no?
Well, I just think that there's a lot of, bad pellets out there and they're useless. And so I think it's just one other way to feel like you're cooking real food.
Doug, 100%.
Real barbecue.
Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. The biggest gimmick going on in the pellet industry right now is 100% charcoal pellets.
There is only one correct answer to this after the doctorate that Chris Becker gave last week. It is yes.
Do you have further info that you want to share on that?
No, I was hoping you could tell us that after shipping him a bag of chips.
You know me in the mail, so it's going to take a little while. But
well, we know you're not driving it there.
Yeah, no kidding. John, 100% yes or 100% no. The biggest gimmick going on in the pellet industry right now is charcoal pellets. 100% charcoal pellets.
Yes, 100% yes.
Look, John, you're a guy that makes his own freaking charcoal. Is there any way that you see this happening outside of mixing some kind of wood in there to hold it all together or having some kind of a binder?
Well, if you remember the comment about the possible retort method of creating these pellets,
yeah.
And I make my charcoal in a form of a retort. I thought about it. I was like, no, I don't see you can't pull it off. There's no way you could economically even pull that off. So I'm like, hey, I can't figure out how you would do it. But it's an interesting thought. But what you have is charcoal caramel color added pellets. That's what we got going on here.
For me, it's 100% yes. And once again, I will pull as far back as maybe 7 or 8 years ago when I first started seeing charcoal pellets come into the market, and I don't even think they were around for a year. And then all of a sudden you never heard about them again. And now Royal Oak is trying. I don't even know if Royal Oak was the brand that was bringing them out the first time I heard about them, but they're bringing them out this time. And the difference this time is social media is way more advanced, is way more far-reaching, and they have some really good influencers that are on the Royal Oak train that are taking pictures with this stuff, that are saying, hey, we vetted it out, or we believe that whatever they're saying is true. However, when I'm reaching out to them and I'm directly asking you, is this a 100% charcoal product? And your first reply back to me is, and then I ask you how you make them, and your first reply back to me is, this is proprietary. We don't share this information. Well, then I think you're hiding something. It's not because I'm offended that you're not telling me how you do it, but in a roundabout way, I'm saying, can you just tell me we are making a 100% charcoal pellet, period, and I can't tell you how it's made, but just know this, it's 100% charcoal pellet. The minute you start adding in descriptor words on the bag like 100% hardwood charcoal pellet, now my mind has to do mental gymnastics. And we all know about me and my mind. It's not very good. I ain't too smart. But I think then there's hardwood and then maybe some charcoal dust, and you're mixing it together. Now you can run it through a press, and that the wood part of that mixture has the lignin on it, and that's what holds everything together. So you call it a hardwood charcoal pellet. I can't prove that, but they're not telling me that that's how they do it because it's proprietary and they want to keep it protected. But they're not saying that it's also a 100% charcoal pellet, not 100% charcoal hardwood pellet, which to me is a difference. Doug, am I picking nits?
No, actually, that's a pretty good hypothesis that it's only partly charcoal. So yeah, because a lot of pellet companies I think do that, where they use a base wood and then they use a flavor wood, and even if it's lesser than 50%, that oak or hickory or whatever.
John, am I off on my hypothesis?
Oh, not at all.
No?
If I might add, Doug, don't forget flavor oil. Oh, never mind. That's
I don't know what you're talking about.
I actually believe, Greg, I got to go back and find it now, that I think you and Candy Weaver had this conversation years ago.
Wow, that
Same
would be
subject.
That would be well over 10 years ago then, probably.
Right, and I'm either that or it's a false memory. I'm going to go scope that out. But no, you're totally in line with the reality of it, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more Embedded Correspondents. We are on a roll here as we just finished the latest round of 100% Assurity Questions. What did you think? By the way, when we come back, we'll ask them the YouTube poll question of the week, which sees a winner at 53%. Oh, by the way, I have to quickly check my ESPN score here, see where we're at. Oh, dear Lord. It's not looking good for the Cavs, ladies and gentlemen.
Get that big stuff out of here.
They're down damn near 12 points with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. I've seen them make up deeper holes. Well, that's the third week in a row I've said weird things that sounded good in my head, but not when I said them out loud. All right. Big Papa Smokers is the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. All picked and approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. They have 13 perfectly balanced flavors of rubs and seasonings. The popular ones like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in the backyard. The owner of Granny's Barbecue Sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce or you're tired of what's existing out on the market right now, you can try Granny's, great all by itself, or you can add it to whatever you want, make it your own. And if you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, you check out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers or you don't know what grill you need, you should call and ask questions because they sell a lot of them. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or you shop their website at bigpopsmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We're back with the Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we welcome back the Embedded Correspondents and everybody else here as we get ready to close out the show here this evening on a Wednesday. By the way, programming note, if you're just joining in and you like the live version of this, we will also be live next Wednesday. It's not going to be Tuesday, where it will be probably forever after these 2 weeks. But next Wednesday will also be the live airing of the show. So how does that affect podcasts? You will see a podcast tomorrow on Thursday. You will also see a best of on Friday, and then you will see hour number 2 on Saturday. So that's how it's going to roll out. Or we might reverse the second hour and the best of. But either way, podcast Thursday, Friday, and Saturday releases for this week. and next week as we welcome back the Embedded Correspondents here. So we got some other topics to dig into here aside from the Assurity Questions, gents, and we'll go ahead and start with Doug here. Doug, did you ever find any of the Beyond Meat seared steak tips?
No, I didn't, and oddly enough, I looked for it about 2 weeks ago. So no, it wasn't in my, it wasn't in HEB, which is, heck, they even have Traegers in HEB. But no, I didn't see it.
Rusty, did you ever come across any?
No, I have looked when I remember, but I haven't seen them. So I really want to try it. I'm really excited. So if you guys find some and I'll friggin' pay for postage, just send it to me. I
don't know if they would ship that well. John, did you find them?
I did. Rusty actually got some in the freezer, so maybe I'll try to work with. Yeah. Bottom line is, I did them. I tried them. I still have some stock.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and give our initial reviews, John, since I found them within a couple weeks of not being able to find them originally. What did you think of the Beyond Meat seared steak tips?
I don't have any issue with them. First of all, I just cooked them plain. I threw them in a skillet with a little bit of oil and just fried them in a cast iron pan. They're pleasant. They're not offensive to me. They don't have an unusual texture. Am I going to go out of my way for them? No, but I see them as a viable option for the non-meat eating people that want their non-meat to taste like meat. It did remind me of meat, texturally and taste-wise, both.
Would you season them different going down if you were to make them again?
Probably so. They need something, even more than just salt. I would probably I'd put something on there. Or hey, how about lots of butter? There you go.
Well, I did butter, and I cooked exactly like the directions, although I think directions said oil to some degree, but I used butter instead. And then just some steak seasonings, salt, pepper, whatnot. And maybe, John, you have a more advanced plant-based palate than mine. I did find them to be horribly offensive. I did find the texture to be completely off-putting. I would never buy them again. If the choice to eat them to subsist and live or to die, I would choose to die. I thought they were some of the grossest shit I have ever had. And I was hopeful, too, because I think the Beyond Burger is light years better than the seared steak tips to me, and it's like not even close. Like those appear to be more realistic burgers than the steak tips. Now, of course, the masochist in me also would love to see if Beyond Meat could come out with some type of a cut of plant-based meat and we could cook it like a steak and see what that would be like. I could see where the seared steak tips, you could chop them up a little bit more finely and use them in a like meatless taco or something like that. But I would imagine, well, they have, John, they have ground plant-based meat already, right? So you wouldn't have to cut up the seared steak tips in order to do tacos. You could just do ground meat if you wanted to.
Correct. Comes in packages, just like a pound of ground beef in that square cryovac sealed up thing.
So if you have a palate for it and you haven't tried it, then John says, don't go out of your way to get it. It's not that great, but certainly not off-putting. I say go out of your way to never get it. Don't try it and take my advice. So whoever you like better or whoever you find your palate aligning with, pick that one and roll with it. And we can go from there. But, guys, I would not go out of my way to find it. But if you do, put in the effort, and then we can see where you guys line up. Maybe John will send part of his stock over to Rusty. How would you send that, John? Would you have to dry ice that, or do you think it's like it?
I'm guessing.
Did you find it odd? Like the directions said, cook it to 165 degrees internal. Like it's not meat. So is that just a regular safety thing?
No, it's all frozen vegetables. All frozen vegetables. You need to cook them to 165 degrees. Grab a frozen vegetable, whatever it is out of your freezer. Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. It's a listeria thing. It's real. Go read your frozen vegetable labels. It recommends cook to 165 degrees on all of them. It's a reality. It's a vegetable. It's plant-based. You got to cook it to 165.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
That's
to me.
the FDA stuff.
All right. Yeah. Good good sense there. I was reading it going, wow, that's weird. But then, of course, I was internal temperaturizing the little seared steak tips, and there we go. All right, let's do a little who's your favorite, as we got about 10 minutes left. Rusty, who's your favorite YouTube barbecuer right now?
Chud's, probably.
Oh, yeah? I had him on the first hour. Chud's Barbecue.
Smoking Joe's, I like him. Watch him.
Yeah.
And yeah, those two. And I like Mad Scientist. I'll say it. Those three. So, yeah.
I'll say it like people are going to make fun of you.
No, I'll say it because I was 3 and you asked for one. So I was breaking the rules like I do, because that's what I do.
That's right.
And that's my top one in 3 forms.
Yeah. All right. Doug, who do you like for YouTube barbecuers?
You know, I have to admit I don't really watch many YouTube barbecuers, but if I had to, you know, Sam the cooking guy some, and Malcolm a little less than that, but I'll go with my buddy CJ.
Do you like him cooking?
Clarence Joseph?
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's a badass.
All right. Just asking. Yeah, I don't need to get off the fence. John, who's your favorite YouTube barbecuer?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the lines of Doug. I don't have one, and I don't sit around and watch YouTube barbecuers. When I got that kind of time, I'm barbecuing. So I'm like,
John's a content creator. Lazy asses. That's right. He's creating his stories and all this other stuff. By the way, it's been nice the last couple of weeks seeing the lake back out there on the YouTube or the Instagram stories, and the grill's getting fired up there. It was almost like we had old John back in the mix that we've come to know and love for years. So I don't know if that's something that's going to continue on, but it's a nice reprieve, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's been a long hiatus for me, and I'm excited to get grills clean, grills running, looking at the lake. It's good to be home after a long time away.
My favorite YouTube barbecuer right now he's not putting up a lot of content because I think he's trying to find a new space, but this is going to sound really suck assy of me, but it's Sterling Ball, Big Papa Smokers, cooking with Big Papa. Like his production is great, and he's a great cook, and he knows how to use all the pieces of equipment that he's got. He's giving you really great recipes, both basic and some that are a little outside of the box, but not the stuffy, pretentious bullshit like, look what I can do that you probably can't, so I'm going to film this and you can see how much I can do it and you can't. But I think he's got a lot of great content. And then to break my own rule, I'm with Rusty on Chuds, and I didn't really know about Brad until maybe a year ago. Maybe a year and a half ago, when somebody started putting me onto him, and then I quickly became a fan, and even more of a fan now that he learned how to build his own barbecue pits from YouTube. Like that he wasn't a fabricator, didn't know how to weld or anything like that, and he's like a self-taught guy. So that's very impressive to me. How do we cook steak at home, Doug? Favorite way to do it?
Well, in my narcissistic fashion, I call it the Scheiding method of steak cooking.
Okay,
so I will. Yeah, thank you. I actually put rub on this, and then I put it on a metal pan and put it in the freezer for 15 minutes, and then I put it on a slow smoker for about an hour to an hour and a half, and then I will sear it and do an all over sear. And I'm still anti grill grates. Thank you.
All over sear in a cast iron pan then?
Yeah. I like to use duck fat because that has less moisture than butter. Yeah.
Rusty, your favorite way to cook steak at home?
Well, first I'll leave the steak out for at least an hour. I'll put salt on it only at first. And then when I get my pan, I'll get a cast iron pan. I'll get it to about 450-ish, right around there. And I have 2 garlic cloves, some rosemary. I'm old school with it. I do the salted butter. And then I'll put some pepper on it like 15 minutes before I put it on. And then I'll sear it off. I usually put a little grapeseed oil in the pan real quick right before I put it on. I don't let it sit in there very long because it's a very hot pan. And then put that in, sear it, flop it. I think a lot of people they think that they have to sear it on one end and wait. You can keep that thing flipping and flopping all day long, and it'll sear beautifully. Then I put a couple pallets of butter in, start like basting it with the 2 garlic cloves and the rosemary inside of it. And then when I get it done and it's nice and crispy and looks beautiful and red and it's a perfect medium rare, I put some Heinz 57 on that motherfucker and I eat
it. And I ruin it right at the end. Yeah, so suck it, everybody. Well, hey, look, that's Rusty's palate, and if that's what tastes good to him, then that's what tastes good to him. Do you never not eat Heinz 57 with steak, Rusty, or is that like a staple for you?
Honestly, to be completely fair, I take one bite and I'm like, I screwed this one up, Heinz 57 goes on it. Or if sometimes I'll just cook, I'll just get some meat my dad gives me and it sucks, and that's how I cook. That's the time I'll eat the Heinz 57 sauce.
John, how do you do steak at home?
Salt and a grill.
There you go. Easy enough. Well, to be the antithesis of the guy below me, I like to do. I'm still New York strip guy for now, although I started to re-waver back over to ribeye, but still mostly New York strip guy. I'll do a nice coating of both cash cow and double secret steak rub from Big Papa's. Really like those together, and then into a vacuum seal bag, vacuum it up into a 118-degree sous vide bath for an hour, depending on how thick they are. And then I'll get my gas grill rip-roaring hot with the flat side of my grill grates that Doug doesn't like, and make sure that that's nice and hot. And then I'll pull those steaks out of the sous vide bath, pat them dry. If the seasoning looks like it's still where I would like it to be, I'd leave it. If not, I might hit it with a little bit more seasoning before we go to the grill. And then it's maybe 10 seconds aside, flip it, 10 seconds aside, flip it, do the little Rusty method there, flip-flop, flip-flop, so you don't have any real heat momentum building up as a one-time guest said on this show. And then I'm done. I don't let them rest for any specific period of time, just gather whatever else we're going to eat. That's enough rest for me, and then away they go. And I would never have admitted that that's my favorite way to do steak at home right now, except I find myself doing that more and more, and I'm not going to lie. And if you don't like it, suck it. It's just what works for me. Can I do it all the other ways? Yes. But for whatever reason, that's been yielding tremendous results. And I think a lot of that has to do with the seasoning, too. For whatever reason, the cash cow and the double secret steak rub are magic together. And everybody in the house loves it to boot. So, and we're just lucky that they happen to be a sponsor as well. So that's how we do steaks. If you want to follow these guys, pay attention, because they're going to give you all their social media and they're going to tell you about what's going on in their lives here over the next month. Doug, go ahead.
Rogues on all social media, including www.roguecookers.com. And I lied last month. Meathead and my co-host with Baseball and Barbecue is coming out next weekend.
Oh, okay. Very good. The Baseball and Barbecue podcast, hosted by Doug Scheiding, with his co-hosts Len Hollywood Aberman and Jeff the Old Coot Cohen.
I just let them on.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to give those guys something to look forward to each and every week as you host that show. John, what's coming up?
Hey, this Friday, not out of order, the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. I appreciate you checking that out. If you want to get a hold of me, ask any questions, John, Jon, at the bbqcentralshow.com.
Rusty, what's happening?
You can go check out the Pitmasters podcast tomorrow. We have Christy Vanover, and she takes you through how she does her competition ribs step by step. And if you want to follow me on Salt City Barbecue, go ahead. I'm on all the socials, saltcitybarbecue.co, if you want to see my pretty face and stuff like that. And that's what I got going on.
All right, there they are, Doug Scheiding, John Solberg, and Rusty Monson. We will see them again in May. Guys, appreciate it. And especially Doug for joining me from his fundraiser, taking a little time out there and doing the segment every month. So certainly appreciate that. And we are ready to wrap this show. So, once again, follow the Embedded Correspondents if you're not doing it already. John Solberg, Doug Scheiding, and Rusty Monson. And we'll be back to wrap it up here in just 1 second. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank the Embedded Correspondents for joining us for the last two segments. The most magical moment of the Embedded Correspondents is me over-talking and not looking at the setup of the 100% Assurity questions, blowing my answer right out of the water, going to John, who had just told me the question before that Chris Lilly was going to win Memphis in May. And then when I asked him, because I felt obligated to ask him the question, if Team Blues Hog was going to repeat as Memphis in May next month, he said 100% yes. And I'm like, what? You just said that Chris... It does appear that hypocrisy does rub off on one another here if you show up enough on this show. All right, all the way back in the first hour, we talked with Brad Robinson from Chud's Barbecue, CHUDSBBQ.com, selling the Chud Box, the Chud Press, Chud Rub. He does sell offset pits, but it doesn't appear that he's taking order for offset pits, although that big offset pit is pretty effing cool. That could be one I might own, like spend my own money. We'll see about that. And then after Bradley, we talked with Derek Riches in his traditional 35 past the first hour segment on the fourth Tuesday. We talked about electric full-size grills and the need for 220, or how much better a 220 would work. We also talked about battery-powered grills and if that's actually going to be a thing or not. He doesn't think so. And I tend to agree with him. And then the second hour is the Embedded Correspondent. So there you have it. Big show planned for you next week. Again, programming note, next week's show, which includes Malcolm Reed, and it also includes Sam the Cooking Guy, amongst others, is going to be on Wednesday. Don't tune in on Tuesday for a live show. Next week, May 3rd, is going to be a Wednesday. It will be a Wednesday show as well. And then we'll get back to the Tuesday shows after that. Hopefully, I have served you with this information that you can use going forward. Again, podcast will be hour number 1 tomorrow, a best of on Friday, and a second hour on Saturday. So there you have it. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Bye-bye.
This is Dino Dan from Cypress, California, and you're watching the Barbecue Central Show.